Hello, everybody. It's 4 o'clock. Time for tea and coffee. But before that, see, when it comes to video advertising or video ads, the simple, clear description is you make someone watch a video passively or engagingly for 10, 20, 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Then one thing changed. And for me, that was long back with Tide. क्यों चौक गए? If any of us nodded when we watched that ad on TV, that was the first example of for me when it comes to breaking the fourth wall in a way. Now advertising is always about there's no fourth wall in advertising, but still it broke the fourth wall, and it was the first interactive work in many ways. That was long time ago. Now today, if you look at us, there's 7 people of us, 7. So let's say from your left, extreme left, the ad starts. Chair then, okay, I'll consider this. Chair 3, you're then sent to an app or a website. Chair 4, okay, I'll make the selection, size, everything. Chair 5, okay, I'll enter my payment address details. Chair 6, okay, the payment gateway is happening. Chair 7, done. By the time I explain this in today's world, today, in March, मैगी बन भी जाता खा भी लेते और प्लेट धो भी रख देते. That's how world has changed, and especially for interactive where everything can be done on chair number 1. Interactive is shoppable. You're expected to deliver work that happens on chair number 1, and that's what we're going to talk today. Or how video advertising state today and the stream modes: interactive, shoppable, and immersive. Nasheet, I'll start with you. These are 3 great examples. One where you talk to an ad, one where you are in the world of the ad, and third, where you just shop with the ad or inside the ad. You have so many clients. Tell me, at what state is Indian advertising in when it comes to such work? Are we still experimenting, beginning, or are we really mature about this right now? Where are we?
Firstly, I think something very interesting you said, that this interactive and shoppable ads, basically they are collapsing the funnel. जिस चीज़ को 6 स्टेप लगते थे अभी वो 2 स्टेप में और 1 स्टेप में हो रहा है, बिकॉज ड्रॉप ऑफ इज द बिगेस्ट एनिमी फॉर ऑल द मार्केटियर्स एंड ब्रांड्स, राइट? नाउ वेयर आर द इंडियन ब्रांड्स? सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज देयर आर डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज. फॉर फ्यू कैटेगरीज दिस इज अ automatic fit. For example, if I am selling furniture and then I see an ad which is an interactive ad, and I just see an ad, tap to check how this sofa looks in your drawing room, and I tap and boom, the camera opens and I see that this sofa is looking nice in my drawing room. So for this particular category, it makes immediate sense to do a demo and to do this. But there are categories for them, it might not make that much sense. Maybe they are in the experimental stage. But what I'm seeing so far, the brands, especially few categories like e-com, beauty, and this furniture sort of ones, they are definitely doubling up on interactive ads. While for the other categories, they are more in an experimental zone as it's.
Okay.
But it has definitely, the graph is going higher on for brands overall, I would say.
But when a brand for which such ads or such work is not suited, how do you convince them? Because is that brand's leadership? I'm not talking about the ones doing the work. The leadership who will just want, let's say they want to tell the shareholders, I have done something interactive this quarter. How do you convince them?
So one thing that we always address when we are in a room with brands is that if you have an experimental mindset, that's a fundamental requirement to exist in a digital world. If you need a proof for everything every time, I think it's good for big tickets project, because you have to prove within your system that you are putting money behind it. But what we encourage brands is, for example, keep a 5% budget separate for these experiments. They may fail, but if it succeeds, then you have the first place on the table in future. So I think that enabling that experimental mindset is critical. If that is not there, I think we first should have that conversation with a brand.
Okay. I'll take this, and to that point you made at the start of your answer about the high drop-off rate, Manoj, for the IPL is starting in 2 days, and when it comes to snacking, this is your time now at Cornitos. See, not only are you up against so many rivals, but a craving period. Within, if I say, chalo kuch order karte hain, and my father or mother says, ghar pe khana bana hai, and if it's remotely something to my liking, I'll stop. I won't think of something else. What do you do then? Like, do you still want me to, let's say, shop straight away through your ad, or if this would be lovely, by the way, if I click on the ad, I go to I go in an immersive mode where I can see कि Cornito का chips salsa में कैसा दिखता है dip करने के बाद या फिर green chutney में. What are your plans?
So I think being a impulse category, this is very subjective for me that we don't have a choice to give any option to the consumer to check, to realize, right? Because if customer wants to buy, to eat the snacks like nachos, so first our main agenda to be call my consumer to convert to the sales. We don't have a choice to give them कि ठीक है आप check कर लो, आप देख लो, आप try कर लो. No. If they like nachos, if they want to eat nachos, they know that the customer, they know my brands, right? So we don't believe on that. I believe that if I'm doing any ads, that ads somehow convert to the sales. That's it. If I'm going to give as option to them कि ठीक है आप कुछ कर लो, तो maybe मैं अपना sale lose कर जाऊँगा उस case में.
So, but have you ever indulged in, let's say, a shoppable ad where, let's say, for example, I'm going through Instagram and I see an ad and I just click on it, sale ho gaya. Have you indulged is a wrong word, invested in it, or are you still like proper traditional?
I align with that because we are not doing that same thing. We are not doing any performance on my digital or digital is just something for sustain the brand presence. That's it. Because for us to convert a sale versus the expense is quite high because our CMB value is quite lesser, right, compared to other brand category. So we are not doing any CTA, CTR from my any performance brand, any Instagram thing.
आपको मेरे पहले पैनल में होना चाहिए था सीधा बोल देते CTA CTR कुछ नहीं है मैं पैनल बंद कर देता हूँ वहाँ पे but it's very interesting and thank you for this Chanpreet, but I think you have a different problem. You need the customer to stay with you for a long time because there's an element of trust building which has to go first when it comes to healthy snacking. And also today, healthy snacking has become such a terribly abused word. Not everything can be healthy, and unfortunately today even our healthy items, if I were to see even a paneer here, is unhealthy because we can't be sure ki kya hai usme. What do you do? And I'll give you two options. One, do you give me an immersive video where I go through your manufacturing process or where I see what you're doing and I have the trust that it's genuine, of course, or do you go into interactive where you talk to me, where you try to educate me and convince me? That's the more harder one. Or is there something else you do?
No, thanks, we do both. Just want to say, Manoj, it's great that you don't do it. We live in the digital world. And for us, we are very clear as a brand which is no longer a startup in a way, but still stable, but still very small. There are 2-3 things that we stick with. Number one, trust. We were built on mother's trust, and that is the most valuable brand asset that we have, and we continuously invest in it. So the message is most important. Video as a format is the most effective because we need space and time to talk to a mother, whether it is 15 seconds or 30 seconds, or in an interactive format, it's a conversation. Where AI has really helped us is we have been able to identify the pattern of anxiety and conversations that prospective consumers have with us when they come to our website, and we've been able to use AI to be able to help us engage with them at scale. And there is, of course, shoppability, and so it has been able to even take it to conversion at the same human level, which is fantastic for us. Your brand's proposition and storytelling cannot be replaced. Yes, we have a trust film. We actually took all our consumers through the medium of the film into our factory space. There is no point in getting her to think she should be there. She is there. We are showing it. Second is moment marketing. For us, we do see a very big surge in our snacks, along with IPL going on, because it's just we are there at the moment. We collaborate with our quick commerce partners, And it's not interactive, but it's moment marketing. Are you at the right place at the right time in the right context? It's not about having our cookie. It's about the cookie being available in 10 minutes. At that moment, I felt like it and it's there.
Can you give me another example? You mentioned AI and also mothers. Can you just take me through a conversation where, let's say, you're talking to a mother and you're able to convince her? I asked this question intentionally because a lot of our parents today are using YouTube and they're engaging themselves on reels before they sleep. It's no longer just a big old television. And they're actually engaging in these reels and shows more than us.
I'll give you a very simple example. Most parents, all of us have been parents, not all, I'm sorry. Many of us have been parents. And, around the time when your child is very young and is starting to experiment with food, what is the first question? You're like, isme maida hai? Does it have any kind of preservatives? Does it have refined sugar? Does it have any hidden salts? It's literally teaching the customer what is on the back of pack in a human form. I am actually clarifying your points. So many times people ask us, what is ragi? Like quinoa? And you're like, okay, let us start from point zero. What is ragi? How old is your child? And so on. These questions is what we answer. Whether it converts into a sale or not is incidental. Am I able to actually engage with you like I would engage to a community mother? That's the job of AI for us. And it does convert. Fantastically. Yes, it does. The results are phenomenal. We are able to move the consumer from a consideration funnel to a buying funnel at the same percentage conversion rate as a human interaction of a trained employee. And this we've been able to do in less than 9 months.
Okay. Uday, you must have heard this about AI conversation. Do you think, for Airtel or any network, I think its presence is most felt when it's not there. Connection gaya, I'll remember you like you're my partner. If you're there, I don't know you. That's the issue there. But for you, correct me if I'm wrong, is it the best way, do you think this is the best way, an interactive AI rather than ads, like pure video ads themselves here? Because if I am on, let's say, Cloud or ChatGPT, and that's what people use these days to answer to sometimes site references, they say, I was trying to understand how to improve my home's Wi-Fi speed, and they said, okay, if by any chance it suggests Airtel, it becomes evidence proof that this one's working. Is that what's working for you, or when it comes to ads?
Yes. See, as you rightly said, when your network fails is the only time you notice it. Whether it is Wi-Fi, whether it is your mobile network.
Yes.
There are moments where people want to figure out how do I fix it. And it's a very short window if as a brand we're able to present them with a solution where they're looking for it. A lot of people now use YouTube as a search engine to search for any query that they have. They, of course, now the Google search has become so much more intuitive with the AI search results.
Yes.
So yes, being present there is of most important to us. But in terms of, let's say, shoppable ads, we're not a impulse-led purchase. We are more thought through. There is a lot of inertia whenever you're trying to switch or buy a new connection. So for us, immersiveness or interactivity rests in solving some of the confusion related to telco products. And there is a lot of confusion, bundles, plans, which one to take, what do I get where. So we try and use interactivity in that manner that it should give you some clarity. It should engage you, but most of all, clarity in a interactive manner is the sweet spot for us.
Has there ever been any observation that when people move homes, they have to take their Wi-Fi, the umbrella, then networks with them? Have you ever observed that during those moments is a good opportunity for you to be interactive or immersive with them? Because, if, for example, I recently had moved home last year, I had to switch up my operator because, building issues and everything. I just thought if I could just, just take a photograph of my home and put it somewhere and they tell me, fit it here. You'll get the best coverage. Has it ever been a case for you, use case for you?
So Wi-Fi, by its nature, is a little more complicated. The capex there is in building infrastructure.
Okay.
And it is a fragmented market dominated by not just big players, but there are also regional small players. And it's very competitive on the field. There'll be all kinds of stories of literal cord cutting happening to give you, from competitors to give you a disrupted experience, right? So it is more complicated when it comes to switching when you're shifting houses. One thing we've noticed there is that whenever people are shifting houses, the biggest consideration factor, someone who convinces you there is your neighbor. That is an ice-breaking moment there. You ring the bell and you ask, which Wi-Fi do you have? You ask, who's your maid? Can you give me your maid's number? And one of the other questions also, ki kaun sa Wi-Fi aata hai? Which one works best?
Yes.
So for us to have a long relationship and retain people well, service them when things go down is the longer strategy that we take, even for shifters.
I think that's an excellent one, because if you mentioned about interactivity at the start and not instructing people, how to go about this X, Y, Z, I think in today's world it's very, very important, because today we're so dependent on technology and yet liberated by it. Everyone can be a DIY person themselves today. But coming to Gopa, you've heard all of them. I want to touch upon this aspect that when clients come to you for work infused or made using AI, do they come to you thinking AI is, and especially for these kind of interactive, engaging ads, do they come to you thinking AI as a solver of everything? Arey, itna bada kaam thodi hai, AI se karwa do. Do they still come to you for it, or have they matured a bit? Keeping in mind these kind of ads.
So many of these brands, again, I think people who are actually more D2C, digital native, they do not ask these kind of questions. Again, it depends on the kind of journey that the brands are in, typically, right? So from that perspective, yes, it's a mixed bag, as the entire panel is also talking about as well. The whole idea in terms of AI will solve everything is a misnomer, very obviously in the current sense as well. While obviously there are things which we are able to do faster, better, efficiently, all of that. But obviously there is a human element which is anyways required, right, at an overall level. So yeah, to answer your question very briefly, it's a mixed bag, very clearly. And what we typically ask clients is that, specifically for the interactive shoppable thing, is that what does this ad make you do rather than feel? Feel is more of an emotional thing. Do is where the action is, right? In this case, you need to actually keep on talking about in terms of what is the action that a consumer need to take after seeing your ad, rather than actually feel. While feel is another emotion, do is another emotion. So yeah, that's where the...
But so because here the ultimate aim is to make the customer take an action, is this the main challenge? Is it a creative problem, a tech issue, or the brief itself? Because sometimes it can be unclear.
Correct. And again, we start from the starting point in terms of what is the thing that you're trying to actually solve for. Tech issue, again, and most of the time it fails, most of the time where, anyways, at least my experience has been that while you set out to do interactive ad, but your backend fails, right, at an overall level. The integration never happens, or it's an ask or it's a task. And at the end of the day, then the brand manager may end up saying, chodo, nahi karna. Or they may end up, if the integration is right, obviously you end up doing that as well.
And do your clients, when they come to you for such work, do they say optimize it for CTV, or is it still on the mobile phones?
It's primarily on mobile phone. Obviously, the action is there actually. But as the system and the tech is evolving, yes, it's also getting optimized for CTV. But again, primarily as of now, it's on mobile.
In my earlier panel, one of the persons said that because there's AI, which is helping us reduce work, the costing, I don't have to, give a very big costing number, ask for a big fee, because AI helps you. AI helps you, yes, but does it mean you have to rethink your costs, your charges? as an
Again,
agency?
so yeah, again, it depends in terms of the level of what we are trying to do from an AI perspective as well. So again, we are not talking about pure Gemini image generation and all of that, which happens on a click of a button. Obviously, there is a studio time. There is multiple things which are actually involved in that. So AI not necessarily means it's cheaper. Yes, definitely it's faster, more efficient, but yes, it depends on scope to scope as well, and we deal with the clients accordingly. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I heard all of them. I mean, you've heard them. You've heard them too. But listen, in the end, everything is tried and tested. A, B, B, C, E, F, G. Everything is first checked on social these days, or social platforms. I want to ask you what's working. Tell me which one has surprised you the most out of these three, and on which platform has it really like surprised you?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, so many interesting perspectives, right? But just tying it back to interactive video
Yes.
as format, right? So, see, I do think while the prospects are fantastical, most of what we see today is still clickable / shoppable video on social, right? Which is, to me, still a UI UX play, right? Or shoppable videos on Flipkart. That is again a UX play. It is not really interactive video in terms of what it can do. Currently speaking, honestly, proper interactivity is happening on something like Twitch, where it's live streaming, it's live product demo, there is community interaction, and you can take an action if you want, right? That is proper interactivity. The other kind of interactivity is immersive. And immersive, advertising as a creative person, we always approach it as people do not want to be sold to. Nobody wants to be served an ad to begin with.
Of course.
So if interactivity is just more friction, and if it's just giving me more to do as the consumer, it doesn't work, right? But having said that, it can obviously, see for a brand like Slurp Farms, where it's trust building, what it can do is so great, right? The opportunity is so huge. Versus Airtel, like you said, I don't buy a SIM every week. But then you are the 5% you spoke about. You have the opportunity to do some very interesting, immersive things to remind my Airtel consumer that I'm a great brand to be with, right? So it's sort of, we have a really nice spectrum of brands, I would say, from usability of immersive. What is going to happen, if you ask me, is going to come directly from what is at play today. I think the immediate use case is going to be POV. So I show you an ad in video form, and then now see how you would experience it. The POV, you've got meta glasses. That's, I think, the first thing that's going to happen in pure interactive play.
Okay, I take this. And I have to ask you, out of these three, shoppable I understand. If I see a really good jacket on an actor, I'd like to buy it. But when it comes to interactive and immersive is still a very alien concept for many. The idea of using a VR headset, it's still, even within urban, there are segments that do it and some who have no clue about it. Do you have any hope for these two going forward?
So I think the headset play, I mean, Zuckerberg shut down Metaverse, so I think the headset play, it was either too early or it's not developed enough. But like I said, Meta glasses, I am seeing a lot more play than I ever honestly expected at this point in the journey. It's changing how people are both interacting with and capturing the world. On the other hand, you've already got influencer content that is my POV. So that is going to be the first shift is consumer saying, I want to see a product from my POV.
Okay.
You have AR doing it, you'll see video doing it next. Not immersive as an headset.
Got this. Uday, yes.
I mean, I would just add few points when you guys are.
Okay, sure. Uday, going forward, do you have hope in these kind of formats, or going forward, what's your go-to choice? Forget going forward. As soon as the IPL starts, what's your going?
There is hope for sure. The reason I feel that is that, of course, some categories are leading. Wherever there is discovery and purchase linked together, and the moment is sort of right in between the two, such formats will work much better.
Okay.
For us as well, not just IPL, cricket is the religion in our country. But I mean, beyond that as well, it is very important to do these pilot projects and have that 5 to 10% budget to try something. Not just for the sake of vanity, but for the sake of seeing that can you provide some sort of clarity to the customer. So yeah, there is hope for sure.
Okay, I take your point. Manoj, will you give 5% to these formats?
Not 5%,
Oh,
yeah, 10%.
10%?
Yeah. So we have a plan for IPL. No, not converted actually, because sports something we are targeting every month. So yeah, we are doing up some fixed budget for IPL.
Right. We've had a few speakers for these kind of interactive formats, some not so keen on it. It's interesting because you have to keep experimenting. We all thought metaverse was the future. It did not even last to be our present. Before the day ended, it was lost. But if any of you is interested or in anything about this, I'll leave Nasheet to you. You had a point to say. I'll leave it to you on how it goes about you create ads for a living. Will you do such work in going in the future or tell your clients there are better things to do?
I'll some lovely point from Tharun that on that metaverse part, I think fundamentally why mobile interactivity is working because it is something which is already in your pocket, right? So whatever you do, it's already there. You already have something, uspe double up hai. So if you see the social media revolution happened because you already were having a phone in your pocket. So social media doubled up on something that you already had that thing in your pocket. Now the thing with metaverse is that if you need a different hardware, then probably the real enthusiasts who like to play games or who are real hardcore customers will obviously buy an expensive gadget. But for masses, I think that's one of the, maybe it answers your question that why it did not go to masses because you need a separate hardware. Now, I would just add few things because it's a session about interactive and shoppable ads. So I would just love to share few learnings from my all the things
I'll
that I have
interrupt you.
done in
Sorry,
my career.
if you could give them in one sentences. As time's up, and I can also see my boss
Sure,
there
no problem.
hiding behind the speaker. He's just the time's up, so
Like,
just need
should I
few
talk or
sentences.
not? Okay, I'm talking. Let's see. So basically, see, three important things you must keep in mind when you design interactive ads. I think it can be a nice takeaway for all of you. So see, firstly, this is a completely fragmented attention economy. So the first thing that every digital ad that you do is you have to design it for attention, right? No one is paying attention to ads. Why? Because you are a tap away from a funny meme. Why will I pay attention to an ad if I can see a funny meme, right? That's your competition. So design it for attention economy, break the clutter in the first few seconds. So whatever you do in digital, including shoppable, this is a must for you. Second, you have to make it relatable. As I gave an example earlier, if I'm buying a sofa and the AI is sending back the signal that this guy or this person is looking for furniture. So the signal is there and then I'm served an ad where I am being served relatable ads. So it makes it relatable. So if I am a cricket lover, I'm seeing an ad about it, it's relatable behavior. So thumb stop, scroll stopping content, B, relatable behavior, and third, which is the most important thing when you design interactive stuff is sometimes we just overcomplicate things. We create multi-step process. For example, we design an expensive video game, right? But if people like to play video game, they would play it on PlayStation, right? So why will they invest time in an ad? That is why is the most important. So what we got to do is reduce the friction. Don't ask them to sign up. Don't ask them to choose players in the beginning. Just bang on, just start, right? So design for less friction. So if I want to try a jewelry, I see an ad, tap to see how jewelry works on your face. You tap and it just camera opens and it starts. Don't give them what kind of jewelry you want, don't give them a questionnaire. So three takeaways if I have to give you is A, design to stop thumbs. What you say, how you say, the creative part is crucial to get attention. B, how relatable from messaging. do you start sounding like a meme, because then on social you are more native. And third part, frictionless, reduce steps, don't complicate. I think these are the three learning that I have learned, also not from the Nasheet experience, even the previously, because I used to be at Meta for 6 years, 16 se 22 tak. So good was just participating in that whole transformation of digital era. So,
I take your points.
yeah.
But you know what I'm really happy about? We all spoke, we all overshot the time easily, but I've only counted 8 people leaving out of more than 70. So we've done a good job. We all lose some people during ads, but during a discussion, we've had so many people here, they've listened to us, and I hope by the end of the week, you'll remember this when the next time you see an ad. Thank you so much.